Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I've been wanting to talk about this for some time now. Let me give you the background on how I came up with the idea to do this video, or how I do several videos. A lot of times I'll get comments or questions about my recovery, and I don't have enough material. I don't have enough to make a good video. A lot of times I'll take that idea and I'll put it aside, something that I want to talk about, and I'll wait till something happens in the news, something relevant, something having to do with movie stars or bands or something like that, and it'll be directly related to what I wanted to talk about. And that tends to be a lot more interesting and relevant to people, and it tends to get more views. And it makes a better cohesive video. So that's what happened today. This is what I wanted to talk about. A lot of times I'll get questions. I've been clean and sober since October 23rd of 2006 from the hardest of hard substances. And a lot of times I'll get questions from family, from friends of people that are suffering from addiction, from people that are trying to get into recovery. A lot of times it's people that sincerely want to get clean and sober. And they ask me, how did you do it? And there is just no easy answer to that. And a lot of times they don't really like the main answer I give them. It's a hard thing to do, especially for younger people. I got clean and sober when I was 40, so that made it just a little bit easier. I'll get into that more in a second. Now, that's what I wanted to talk about, but I put it aside. Like yesterday's video was the same way with Kelly Osbourne and rehabs. But that was the question I got, and then I came across a video. I'll put the links down below. A video, like I think this was on Instagram, about Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction and everything that happened at the show in Boston, where Perry Farrell was suffering from tinnitus with his ears, a sore throat, a lot of things coming. It really looks like he just, at his age and his state of mind, he wasn't ready to have this kind of lifestyle again. That's what it really looked like to me. And he went off on Dave Navarro. And he basically went off on everybody, really. The bass player, Dave Navarro, and the audience. But Dave got the worst of it. Here's the thing. Now, this came up about Dave Navarro. They canceled the Bridgeport show here in Connecticut last Sunday. Then they canceled the rest of the tour, stating that Perry Farrell, they worried about their own safety and Perry Farrell's safety, and they canceled the whole tour. Now here's the latest, that Dave Navarro is actually quitting the band Jane's Addiction. Okay, and I'll see if I can, somebody did a video on Instagram, and I'll try to put the link down below for this actual video. And it's a music-orientated channel, like on Instagram, talking about, asking if people thought that was the right idea for Dave Navarro just to quit, to wash his hands of Jane's Addiction, of the band. That's the question. So I took that, and how did I get clean and sober? The question, I put those two together for this video. Okay, let's go back to the question about, do I think this is a good idea for Dave Navarro? Without a doubt, I think this is sometimes you have to close the door on chapters of your life. It's just better to close the door and be done with chapters of your life. That's something I found true in, not just in recovery, but in life in general, now that I'm coming up on 59 years old. You know, there's a lot of things that happen that I reminisce and nostalgia about the past, but it's just not this, it's just better to close the door. Like getting remarried to somebody you divorced. I think that's kind of similar to this. I think for Dave Navarro's own mental health, he just needs not to be surrounded by, especially by Perry Farrell, and this negative influence in this band. I really think it's better for him to walk away and just be done with that part of his life. That's my opinion. Why do I think that? Because, okay, so going back to the question I get about recovery, I think one of the biggest reasons I've been successful for coming up on next year will be 18 years. October 23rd will be 18 years. And the biggest reason I've been successful is because I just shut the door and I've turned my back, and I've been done with everybody that I associate with, all my best friends, the people that I used to call my brothers, the girls I dated, a girl I lived with and loved. And a lot of these people are clean and sober now. As a matter of fact, This woman that I used to live with and dated is actually clean and sober as a counselor now. And I've had to just wash my hands. I'm not friends with them on Facebook. I'm not friends with them anywhere. I don't associate with them. I don't have their phone numbers. And it's not because I don't like them. It really has nothing to do with them personally. I'm going to tell you why, how I discovered this, and the reason why I need to do this is I relapsed when I first got clean and sober. Now I'll explain that to you guys in a second, but there's more to it too. And this is going to sound arrogant, really, but I realized that I deserve better. Like I said, I really started using hard around 20 years old to 40 years old. And the people that my best friends back in high school stopped hanging out with me because I got so involved. And they went on to become successful, go to universities, join the army, have careers and everything like that. And I still don't talk to them, and I can understand that now because of the lifestyle I chose. They still don't talk to me now, really. So then I went and made new friends, best friends. My buddies, a guy I lived with for a couple of years, a girl I dated, a girl that I was going to get married to. But see, this is the thing that I realized. The pool of people that I was pulling those friends from, and the girlfriend, was a limited pool of people. It was really, I hate to say this, but it was people that were below my standards. Because the only people in that pool were people that were using themselves. The people that I hung out with and the girl I dated, they all, the only people I could hang out with because I was using was other people that were using. And not only that, but there was a lot of problems in, they weren't driven. They didn't have a lot of ambition, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth. And now that I've been clean and sober for the last 18 years, I really, I have more ambition, and I've set the bar higher. And these people really just weren't a good fit. It was the only reason I really associated with these people is because they were using. And here's an example. I used to get picked on back in elementary school. I was kind of overweight and I was quiet. We're talking about, when I was really young. And there was this one guy, and I'm like he passed away because he kept using, but I ended up being like about a foot taller than him. But I was even taller than him back then, and he used to pick on me relentlessly, throwing gum in my hair, taking my lunch money. And I ended up hanging out with him and using with him like on a nightly basis. And deep down, I still despised this guy, and I kind of hated myself for hanging out with him. But the only reason I hung out with him is because we were both using, and I thought less of myself because I knew this guy. I knew what this guy did to me. I knew what he really thought of me, even, in my later years. That's what I mean. It was below my standards. Okay, this is how I really discovered that I would just have to be done. And I mean done. I don't have their phone numbers. I just don't talk to them. And it's, they look at me now as being conceited or stuck up or something like that. And that's not it. And this is the reason. I had been clean and sober for about 3 or 4 months. And so had this my friend, right? And this is one of the supposed friends that I had made during my addiction. And we'd both been clean sober. And I decided to stop by his house. Yeah, I was still talking to the people. I thought I was okay. I'm clean and sober. He's clean and sober. We could still be friends. And I went to his house, and he said he needed a ride. So I gave him a ride to a job. And we're not talking. We're not leading each other on or anything like that. We both got our head in recovery. Talking about how much better life is. There's none of that going on. There's no, drug talk or anything like that. And we laugh and we talk, and I drop him off. And looking back, right after that, as soon as I dropped him off, I went and called my dealer and used rock all day and all night long. That was one of the first relapses. And looking back, the reason, I remember hearing him laugh, and I looked over at him, and we weren't laughing about using or anything like that, but there was something just clicked. It was a trigger. Just him, he was an actual trigger, even though he wasn't talking about using or anything like that. He wasn't like leading me astray or anything like that. But just being with this person, that I had initially spent, 20 years of my life using with. That's the only reason I started hanging out with this guy. But now we were both clean and sober, and I thought it was safe. But I heard him laugh, and that just clicked. It was like a trigger, and I didn't tell him I was going to go use. I didn't even mention it to him. But as soon as I dropped him off, I went and picked up and used. And right then, after that episode, I felt terrible. I felt, this was 18 years ago, and I felt terrible, man. Just using for one day already made a quick mess of my life, my finances, my family, everything. I was going to the methadone clinic then. I tested positive. I lost all my privileges, everything. Just using for that one day just shot everything to hell. And I realized that I could not hang out with the people that I used to use with at all, even if they were clean. I had to get rid of every single person that I hung out with during those years. I had to close the chapter on that. I had to close the book on that chapter of my life. And a lot of it's hard to do. It really is, especially for younger people, because a lot of people will say, well, my friend's clean and sober. He's my buddy. He's my brother, man. He's clean. Why can't, I'm not going to turn my back on him. Well, for me, that's what I had to do, and it wasn't easy, but I'm happy, and I set my goals higher. Now, let's talk about that just a little bit. The woman I dated, she kind of upset with me. This woman that I dated, I started dating her back when I was using. We lived together. We went together for at least 10 years. She went to jail. She became a counselor. She's been clean and sober now. But, she tried relentlessly to establish a friendship back with me, and I just would not have it. She tried over and over again, and I just told her I can't do that. That part of my life is closed, and there was really more to it. The fact is, I settled for her. I really did. It's just I could do better. The women I've dated since I've been clean and sober are driven, intelligent, truly beautiful women. Both Audrey and the other girl, Paula, these two women that I've dated since I've been clean and sober, were just such a higher caliber, or just such women that I am worthy of, and I refuse to go back. Looking back, I settled. I really did. I settled for that pool of people, and even those people are clean and sober now. They're triggers for me. And I can't hang out with them. And not only that, if I'm going to be honest about it, I really am deserving of a higher caliber of people. Some people that are driven, people that have expectations for themselves, people that love their family, put their families first. I'm not saying all of these people are bad, but I just have more expectations for myself and the people around me than I believe the people I used to hang out with do. And I just had to close the book on that chapter of my life. And that's why I believe Dave NAVARRO is better just moving on, hanging out or even going on tour with his past bandmates is just reopening that whole chapter of his life. And that chapter of his life is done. It's over, and especially when you're dealing with substance abuse and mental health issues, it's just best to walk away from it and let everybody heal and go on their own individual paths. And that's my thoughts on this. Please let me know what you think about this. I know people aren't gonna, it doesn't sound good, it sounds like I'm a little arrogant, but it's worked for me. It's kept me clean and sober. And not only that, I am happy. I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. I'm tight with my family. Money's good, my life's good. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm doing something right, So let me know what you think. The links will be down below. Have a good Thursday.